I broke down literally, I broke down, cried, I was fed up, I was done with the UK and I was ready to pack my bags and go back.
From the cheers and goodbyes, to the roaring airplane engines, it's pretty easy to get caught up in the excitement, but then reality sets in. The weather, language, dialect, racial differences and intolerance, these factors make integrating, as a black minority in Europe, an uphill task.
I remember my kids and I and my wife had to go to look for a job. On our way, just before we get to the interview that I had to go to, our car nearly burnt down. Smoke started coming out of the car. So in the cold, it was January, it was very cold. My kids, 2 kids, 3 and 1 were in the car. And we had to park the car somewhere and walk to the place of interview. After going through this painful moment with my family and the kids in the cold, we got to the place and the security wouldn't allow us in. I went in alone and lo and behold, the interviewers refused to even talk to me because I haven't received my card from the immigration authorities. I broke down literally, I broke down, cried, I was fed up, I was done. I couldn't imagine my family going through this because of me. My kids were in the cold, my wife was shattered. I could look her in the face and I could see that she was disappointed. I felt like it is enough for me. I just need to go back to Ghana, where I come from. So I grew up in Kaneshie. Those who know Accra very well, Kaneshie can be a slum, Kaneshie can be so many things. I grew up in the market side, so you could understand there was poverty around, there was all kinds of crimes and other things. But for us, it was education that we found to be the way out of all the bad things that we're seeing around us. Completed University of Ghana, I did my national service with the Ministry of Defense. And right after, I went to the US to visit some family. And the objective was to stay in the US and then go back to school, get an international exposure when it comes to education and professional experience. So I was in the US for 4 years, and I felt like that place wasn't for me. I felt like I needed to go back home. I had friends who had come to the UK, studied and gone back, and were doing well. And anytime I had interactions with them, they convinced me that it is better to come back home. So at that point, I had taken the decision, I'm going back to Ghana, I'm going to make it in Ghana. There was nothing at all that was going to move me away from Ghana to any Western country. Lo and behold, I met my wife, who had lived here in the UK for a while, came back to visit family, and then we met. So the interesting story is that when my first boy was born, because of that decision I had taken, my wife had to bring the first boy to me in Ghana. We lived there for a year. Thing is that as my wife was coming back to the UK, she got pregnant with a second one. And at that point, when the second one came, there was no way I could refuse moving to settle with my family here.
Byron started the Settlement Support CIC, a support mechanism that informs, guides and assists immigrants in navigating the complex experience of integrating into the UK. With just about 4 years in operation, it has grown to be the settlement support option of choice among the African community in Coventry, and has earned several outstanding recognitions, including the prestigious Fantastic Award, an Amazon initiative to celebrate staff's contributions to their community in the UK. Byron's network was celebrated for its far-reaching work in supporting African immigrants and entrenching diversity in the West Midlands.
One of the things that I did when I came is to visit the job center, obviously to process my documents, national insurance number, and then also to look for a job. At that point at the job center, having challenges with some of the things that I had to do, so I started thinking about other people also. For somebody who is a little bit privileged to have had the benefits of education and traveled a little bit before, if I'm still having these challenges, then I was wondering what other people could be going through. And at that point, it hit me really hard that there was the need for a settlement support scheme, especially people from Africa who have traveled to the UK and we need such support. When I started thinking about how to support people, I spoke to Kofi. I call him Practical Kofi. And Kofi would always point out the realities of life to you, that you just came, there are things that we have to focus on, which is immediately you finding a job. And also to think about all the other mechanisms that are there to support people. So Kofi pointed out that there's a refugee center, there is the job shop, there is the job center, and all these organizations or mechanisms are to support everybody, including African migrants. So initially, how to convince people to buy into the idea. And at the time that we got people together, and then COVID also happened. So at that point, we're facing challenges. I mean, personally, I started thinking whether all these things will come together. But thank God for technology. We moved everything online, and we started having our webinars. And interestingly, we got encouraged by the fact that people were signing on onto our programs. So we had a skills development program during COVID online. We had a health alert session that was also successful. There was an immigration session that had over 90 people signing on to partake in the program. That is where we started saying that there is an actual need out there that people would want support for. We still have some challenges, especially when it comes to funding. For me, getting people to dedicate time in an environment like this, where time is really money, we can quantify time. People work by the hour, they are paid by the hour. So funding is really a challenge. The quality of people that have bought into the concept as it started. And there's the passion for people to support, and the various skill sets of the people. There are people from IT, HR, medicine, and this story is not my story. It is the story of the people who have come together, agreed that there's the need to support people. Well, we recognize that the sky is not even the limit for us. We have to go beyond the sky. And it is looking very positive. For instance, we are having discussions with the Coventry University to start a Girls in STEM program. So we'll be supporting girls from Nigeria and Ghana to come to study science, technology, engineering, or maths program. And when they finish, the idea is for them to come up with a proposal that will help the university and also to support the community where they are coming from in any part of Africa. So for us, there are things that are happening. We have a donations program. As of now, we have about 10, 11 projects that are running concurrently.
What started as a token, a simple idea has galvanized a team of experts with the objective to entrench diversity and help their community reap its benefits. Interestingly, these are not superheroes with capes. They are our next-door neighbors, ordinary people in regular shoes, changing their world.